That's right. So he's asking about managing the creative process, the sort of the business imperatives versus the creative imperatives. That is the crux of what I do each day is trying to understand how creative we can be and how much risk we can take creatively, knowing that there's a tremendous amount of dollars at risk. So, I guess my response, my gut feeling about that is the people, the general managers, the executive producers, the decision makers in our business are business people who really understand the creative side and who have generally come up through production, have made games. So they've really sort of been able to be on both sides of the fence and therefore make a more informed decision about if a product can be successful in the marketplace. That said, we have pretty serious reliance on a kind of a core group of advisors and counselors inside the company who also represent the business and the creative endeavor. And as a group, we tend to make, hopefully we make, out of 10 decisions, we make six right ones. We certainly don't make 10 right ones. We make 6 or 7 or maybe 8 in a good year. But it is really, really tough to know how risky you're going to be. So Grand Theft Auto, would we have done that game? My guess is that if someone would have walked up to that group and said, here's a game, here's how it works, here's a prototype, we probably would have looked at that and said, you know what, that just doesn't feel like that's going to work. And we missed a $300 or $500 million opportunity because of it. There's also a lot of times where we've said we back things and they've worked out, like The Sims.
So structurally, I think one of the ways that we do deal with that, and it's been part of sort of the evolution about how sort of teams are developed, is by splitting the role of creative and sort of business management, I guess, or risk management. Traditionally, when games were sort of 40 people, the producer was the one who's making not only the decisions about where creatively the product was going to go, but also how to manage and develop the ship schedule. And so I know that on Lord of the Rings, and this is also another reason why it's very entrepreneurial, the way that we do things on Lord of the Rings was totally different than the way that they did things on Bond. I mean, we were able to make our own choices and our own structure. The way that we did it on Lord of the Rings was, there was 2 distinct people that had different responsibilities. One person, all he cared about was the creative, making sure that they were making the best game possible. He was really concerned about the Metacritic rating, the review points. All I cared about was making sure that the game got shipped on time. And I used to always say, you know what, I don't care about what your game is, I just need to make sure that we're going to ship this game on time. Of course, it's not true, right? But by actually splitting those 2 roles, I mean, there was a lot of fights, but actually being able to fight on those, sort of topics and then being able to do sort of analysis on the table to make sure that you're making those decisions in a way that sort of matches the project, I think was key. And so there are structural things that you can do in order to make sure that you are, shipping a great game and making sure that you're hitting that window. And I think that structure is going to continue to evolve and refine itself as, each game that we make becomes, sort of more and more expensive and also higher risk.